everyone to the much anticipated launch of Jim Richards' Gold Rush. My name is Georgia Richter. I'm your MC for this evening. I'm a publisher at Fremantle Press, and I was also lucky enough to be the editor on Jim's book. I acknowledge that we meet here in Wajak Bujja, and I offer my respects to Noongar elders past and present. There are many distinguished guests here tonight. The Honourable Sean Lestrange, MLA, Mark Thompson, Managing Director of Talga Resources, Ian Lilburn, Chair of Fremantle Press, Felicity Roos, Deputy Chair of Fremantle Press, Colin Campbell-Fraser, Board Member Fremantle Press, Jane Fraser, CEO Fremantle Press, Julie Berland, CEO of Penguin Random House in New Zealand, Gavin Schwartz, Sales and Operations Director of Penguin Random House Australia, the Honourable Michael William Sutherland, MLA, Member for Lawley, Councillor Joe Ferrante, City of Stirling, Councillor Michelle Sutherland and Councillor Chris Cornish from the City of Bayswater, Councillor Keith Yong, City of Perth, Councillor James Limnios, Deputy Mayor of Perth, Simon Bennison, CEO, Association of Mining and Exploration Companies, family and friends of Jim Richards, and also Beaufort Street Books. Welcome, everyone. I feel like I've already given a whole speech, but in fact I'd like just to say a few more words. Now, any of you who go on to read Jim's book, or indeed if you know Jim, you'll know that sooner or later he'll give you some advice, and it is advice he himself takes, and that is to just turn up. When you turn up, things might go wrong or things might go right, but certainly something always happens, and you can have some pretty wild adventures on the way. Now, when you're writing a book, you also have to turn up. And Jim not only turned up, but he stayed the course. And he bust his gut in a totally different way from the way that you'll read about in the book. Can you hear me better now? Now, working with Jim on this book through the editing, it was easy to see the qualities that have made him successful in whatever it is he chooses to do. Jim is intelligent, he's practical, he's a team player, and he was from start to finish an absolute joy to work with. So thank you, Jim. I won't say too much about the contents of Gold Rush itself, and I'll leave that to the Minister. However, I would also observe something that I reflected on quite a lot during this process, that when your job is your passion, your rewards will be great. And that includes even when you're stuck at the bottom of a river in a pothole, or there's a massive great spider in your sleeping bag, and you get to write about it afterwards. I love the way that Jim follows his heart and how his book inspires others to do the same. As Fremantle Press celebrates 40 years of being passionate about taking fine books by Western Australian authors to Australia and the rest of the world, we're very, very proud to have Gold Rush as part of our 40-year celebrations. Now, in a moment, I will invite the Honourable Sean Lestrange, MLA, to launch Jim's book. The Minister is Member for Churchlands and Minister for Mines and Petroleum and Small Business. He's committed to innovation and enterprise underpinning a strong resources industry and small business sector. He has extensive experience in the Australian Defence Force as an infantry army officer. He completed active service as a Lieutenant Colonel with the Australian Battle Group in Afghanistan. And if you read Jim's book, you'll see that with this background, in fact, they're the perfect pair as an author and a launcher. So please, welcome, Minister.
Thanks so much. And Georgia, thanks so much for doing that list of dignitaries here today. Jim, you could run a coup from your background with the number of people, and the gold reserves are well and truly in the right state for you to do so. Look, it's an absolute pleasure to be the Minister for Small Business and the Minister for Mines and Petroleum to be here to launch Jim's book. And yes, I did read it. I tried to get out of it. I actually asked my appointment secretary, I said, Alana, have that read and brief me tomorrow. She said, I don't read books, Minister. I said, great. So I actually did read it, Jim, and I did enjoy learning about your background. because we have something shared in common. We started out as university students, joined the equivalent of the Army Reserve to try and get us through uni, and then ended up doing regular Army work in different ways. And I did enjoy reading about your operational service in Northern Ireland. I understand that would have been very difficult. And in fact, I did an exchange back in 1992 with the Light Infantry Regiment in England. We were preparing soldiers for deployment to Northern Ireland up in Thetford, a big army training area out there. So you never know, we may have trundled across the same ground, but while I was doing that, you were no doubt in Central America somewhere, up some river or whatever, looking for diamonds or looking for gold, or doing both at the same time. And I think that was what I found really engaging about the book. And that was, it was a real honest and open account of a young man who is just out there on an adventure. But what really struck me about the way you wrote your book, Jim, was that you actually had a passion for rocks. You know, you loved geology, you loved understanding what geology was about and what the Earth was about, and that really came through in quite a few parts of the book as I read it. And so when you were trying to work out exactly where those diamonds came from when you were in those rivers, I found that interesting, because that's where I focused in a bit. I didn't quite speed read those bits. I thought I might learn something a bit about diamond geology here, because I had been out to the Kimberley to see the Argyle mine, and I had been told about that particular kimberlite pipe, or whatever you call it, you geologists. But I did find that fascinating. And I think the fact that you took risks, the fact that you basically saved the money you saved and off you went to have a go, is a real testament to your ingenuity, to your courage, to your have-a-go attitude. And that fits well with us as Western Australians, because that's what we're about, Jim. So you are clearly one of us. You've settled here. You've done extremely well in the mining sector here. But more so than just being some sort of mining executive that has gone to university, maybe done a law degree and a geology degree, no offence to some of the members present, and then got involved in this sector, you're somebody who's actually lived and breathed it. You've actually gone out onto the ground and just chased a dream, made some money, lost it, and then eventually settled down with a family here in the great state of Western Australia. And why wouldn't you? I mean, Perth, metropolitan Perth, more broadly Western Australia and our regions, best place in the world to settle down, to work, to raise a family, to play, to live, to retire. And I think with the character that you have as a former soldier, a geologist, an explorer, an adventurer, and ultimately a book writer now, and a part of the very important mining sector of Western Australia, it's great to have you here. So big round of applause to you, Jim, for your efforts. Just a few little bits of ministerial data that I'll share with you. I know that you started off on the wrong side. You said in your book that you landed on the wrong part of Australia when you decided to embark on looking for diamonds and gold over there in Queensland. You eventually made your way across, and of course you had that wonderful experience. I did enjoy, I suppose, the difference between your experiences in Central and South America to Meekatharra. It was quite a stark difference, and I'm sure you have fond memories of your times in Meekatharra. But for us in Western Australia, the real gold boom was, of course, the 1890s. And the 1890s, where the goldfields really opened up for us. Do you know, by 1911, we had raised $18 billion worth of gold. I mean, that's by 1911. That's amazing in today's dollars. But that's an amazing amount of gold. And in 2015, we produced 193, this is Western Australia, 193 tonnes of gold. So we are the biggest gold province in the world, and it's great to have you here. I understand you're a part of that history. You're a part of that great find you found on the Great Northern Highway in Western Australia, just out of Meekatharra, as part of that story. And so thank you so much. Congratulations on your book. I did enjoy the read. I wish you all the very best of success, not only with your book, but also with your future endeavours in the mining sector of Western Australia. And thanks so much for having me be a part of your night tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The other thing I love about reading this book is that you think you only get to hear these stories from old-timers and, from the 1890s, but Jim is startlingly young and yet he's done all this. But you can still be an armchair traveller and enjoy his adventures nonetheless. Now, I would like to shortly call to the podium Mark Thompson. He has a 25-year career in the minerals and mining industry and is Managing Director of Talga Resources. He's guest professor of mineral exploration technology at Chengdu University and Southwestern University in China. He's an author and editorial board member of the Encyclopedias of Anthropology and Time, and most importantly, he's professional lunch companion of Mr. Jim Richards.
Thank you. When I first met Jim, I was not impressed. I mean, today I stand before you a leader of an ASX resource company. We're involved with investing investors' money, so we're supposed to look pretty good. When I first met Jim, it was in a very high office, but looking beautiful views over the Swan River, beautiful glass-walled panels, very expensive carpet. And Jim's there in khaki shirt, cargo pants, looking like he's about to go bush any second. And I thought, this guy is pretty slack. He's pretty slack. But what I learned was that not only was he the CEO at the time of this very successful company, actually, but he was actually just ready to go at any time. He was ready to fly off at any second and go bush. And in fact, what I was seeing was a guy that was a lot more comfortable in the bush than he was on the boardrooms of the terrace. And little did I know that, in fact, at that point in 2006, Jim had only just gotten up to the boardroom from about a year before, being a busted-ass prospector like me. So those clothes gave me a hint that Jim had been on a journey, quite a long and varied journey, and little did I know that he had just shrugged off that red dirt, similar to myself. And I think that his book Gold Rush is a part of why he got there faster than I did. Gold Rush is a really good book. It's the sort of book that I wish I had when I started out as a prospector. I never actually went to university. I have university degrees now through various things they throw at you because you can lecture for 6 hours at a time without fainting. But in those pre-internet days when I started out prospecting, you had a milk crate of books in the back of your car, and those books were your life. That's all you had for years at a time out under the stars, and that's what you learned from. And frankly, a lot of books fail in teaching you how to make money from gold or make money from mining, for that matter. They're strictly geology, which can be tedious and is a different language if you don't hang out with lots of people, or they're strictly on business and they're about companies. But Jim's book is something else. It's a mixture of history and doing it yourself, doing gold prospecting and taking it all the way through with his experience in diamonds and gold, but actually making a fortune out of it. And of course losing it as well, and then making it again. So it would have been a bit inspirational. Now in those days it's hard to believe, but I was very skinny. I was skinny because I was poor. And I was so skinny I was called Bookmark most of the time. So indeed I feel very comfortable talking at a book launch. Jim's book would have helped because it would have helped me find gold and got me off tinned food earlier, basically. Now, anyone that knows me knows that my 4 minutes that I'm allowed to speak is actually less time than it takes me to form a sentence. So I've got to be quick here. I would just like to suggest that the Department of Mines and Petroleum may want to consider Jim's book actually being part of their library to be recommended to members of the public, along with the Geological Survey and all the other fine publications that would assist people to go out into the landscape and find more, as well as perhaps giving me a small royalty in lunches from Jim. Now, some of you that know Jim may have heard him described as an extreme end member of the human race. This isn't about his political views, it's just that he does see the world very, very strategically. So now it's my job to introduce someone whose only personality fault is that he wasn't born into the Rockefeller family. He's more strategic in his thinking than his middle namesake, General MacArthur. He's more ambitious than Elon Musk, and I think he makes Lang Hancock look fairly short-sighted in his ambitions. But jokes aside, he's actually one of the few men with the strength of character to follow his moral compass through the minefield of money and minerals that some of us do. And he's published this remarkable book documenting that journey, and it's also very helpful. He's ferociously loving of his family. He's a very loyal friend, very loyal friend. He's a unique character, and it's a pleasure to introduce the author of Gold Rush, Mr. Jim Richards.
Thanks, folks. I'm so short I've actually got to stand up here after Tomo. So, well, those things were lovely, Tomo, thanks. And it really is amazing the nice things that somebody will say to you, a fellow director will say about you when you're the biggest shareholder in the company. But actually, Tomo and I did have a bit of a joke earlier on about how funny it would be to invite all of our many enemies here tonight. But actually, as some of you have turned up anyway, then don't be surprised if we have to chop the bar tab off early. Right, Minister, very kind of you both to read the book and to attend and to speak so kindly about it. Might I advise you maybe to keep your mobile phone switched on tonight, because the way things are going, you might be premier by the end of the night. I'd like to acknowledge Mark Creasy as well, and his crew who are here. Mark's done some wonderful things for the industry over the years. Also has one of the most terrific, collected, probably the finest collection of mining-related literature ever assembled. So thank you, Mark, and I'd just like to acknowledge that. And in fact, there are a lot of mining entrepreneurs and different West Perth identities here tonight. Many of you, indeed, have got quite a reputation for it being extremely good negotiators. So just a little tip though, tonight when you go to buy the book, it is non-negotiable, okay? The price is fixed on that, so we'll just keep that. Also surprising actually is how many lawyers have turned up tonight. When I actually said partners are invited, what I meant was, and the Oswide crew, I mean, I couldn't run my company at Phosphate Australia without the Oswide crew. So Robin and Roy and all the crew, Jackie and all of you, it's wonderful to see so many of you here tonight. And there was a little bit of a hiccup during the invites that went out, and I noticed a spam filter knocked half of them out. So there were some interesting conversations going on at Oswide when they were comparing who and who had not got an invite. April, you were invited, I promise. Okay, I'd like to acknowledge the crew at Fremantle Press. They are an absolutely terrific mob. They are an adornment to this wonderful state of ours. They tell the stories that would otherwise go untold. Jane Fraser is the CEO there and does a terrific job leading them. Claire Miller, thank you, Claire, for getting me so many terrific interviews on the TV, well, everywhere really. I promise I didn't swear on any of them. Dot Wilson, thank you for organising tonight. It's been terrific. And last but not least, Georgia Richter. And it has been the most wonderful pleasure working with Georgia. Do not let that demure exterior fool you. Georgia is an absolute demon negotiator. And when my quite hard-bitten and tough literary agent in London actually negotiated this book deal, he came out of it quite a shaken man, actually. And he said to me, Jim, if you, me and Georgia were stuck in a rowing boat in the middle of the Atlantic, you and me would be doing the rowing. Jane Seaton, who's over there doing the book sales. Thank you, Jane. Wonderful job. And Jane runs the best bookshop in Western Australia, both at Street Books. And it's, even though it's been trashed by my kids on multiple occasions, it's still a terrific bookshop. Last but certainly not least is my wonderful wife. Come on up, darling. And my lovely wife Herma, who with 4 kids to put to bed, come 9 o'clock the witching hour and I say I have to write, and she gives me a quizzical look. Without her there would have been no book. So Herma is living proof that out of some gold rushes there are happy endings. Thank you, darling, and thank you all for coming tonight. Now, one last thing I just want to announce. We do have this gold nugget tonight. Every book being sold has got a raffle ticket with it, and that will be drawn in a little while, that gold nugget. And I know many of us are hoping that Mark Creasy wins this nugget actually, but hopefully I'm sure it will go to some very deserving person, and good luck to all of you tonight. Thanks very much for coming. I really appreciate you all being here. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And you're quite right about the rowboat for so many reasons. One being that I can't row, but there are more. Now, thank you, Bookmark, if I may call you that, and Minister Sean Lestrange for your part in tonight's proceedings and for helping us launch this beautiful and wonderful and exciting book. I'd like to thank our hosts here at Black Tom's tonight and Jane and the team from Beaufort Street Books. And also thank you very much to Tread Classic for their entertainment. It's beautiful. Now, this is the part of the evening where the publisher directs you to the book table, and it's not only entertainment gold, but literally you may walk away tonight with a nugget in your pocket. So every book has a ticket in it. The more books you buy, the more your chances are to win. And then there's a table just over there where Jim will be sitting, so please do get him to sign your book too. The draw, I hear, will be at approximately 6 p.m. Thank you all very much for coming.
Okay, here we go. The anticipation is the best bit, they say. It is a blue ticket. It is A for Alpha 7474. The deserving winner here is Stuart. What's the surname again? Stuart Cole, who runs the Mineralogical Society here in Western Australia. Never is there a harder working advocate for minerals in the state, or diamonds either. So Stuart, it's congratulations and a deserving winner. Thank you, that's that one. Oh, actually, no I don't. Actually, I've just found in my pocket a 1.1 carat Allendale yellow diamond. What a coincidence. Now, if men will do strange things for gold, women have been known to do things for diamonds in the past. So we'll keep it clean tonight, but I'm going to draw the diamonds now, and the winner will walk away. It is a rough diamond, it's uncut, as befits some of the clientele here tonight. Again, it's a blue ticket. A18, 1-8, A18. Do we have an A18? Molly, there you go, my dear. You are the finest jewel here tonight. Thanks, folks. Have a good night. Cheers.